Israel's Channel 22 documentary program, the Israeli equivalent of 60 Minutes, as it is often described, Uvda, just aired powerful investigative report about the 7 Israeli soldiers that died in the Battle of Sajaiya in Gaza last summer. This battle is well remembered here in Los Angeles, mainly because the one of the soldiers that died in that battle was Los Angeles born and bred Max Steinberg, who volunteered to the Israeli armed forces, to the IDF, and also died there. Omri Assenheim is the investigative reporter that aired this documentary. Hello, Omri, and thank you for being with us.
Hi, Shmuel. Thank you.
So can you please describe what was it in this story that is so powerful?
Actually, it was the worst occasion in the war that took place in the summer, because 7 soldiers were killed, which is the biggest number of soldiers that were killed in one occasion. And 7 soldiers, and one of the soldiers was kidnapped. His body was kidnapped and was never returned to Israel so far. And the tragedy was very powerful because it seemed like soldiers didn't get the equipment that was necessary to that kind of operation. They were supposed to get armored vehicles, and they got two vehicles that weren't really armored, and it was what made them get into this whole story.
And your story tells you're telling a story of brave soldiers, and you cannot, you have to be impressed with these young soldiers that you interviewed that were sent into battle by commanders who did not make the utmost effort to guard them from harm.
No question about that. There were 14 days to prepare to that operation. 14 days in which they trained, and they had to get the most protective armored vehicles and stuff like that. And they didn't use these 14 days in order to prepare the soldiers. And actually, the soldiers went unprepared to this operation. And in the first night, where they got in, the 2 unarmored vehicles got stuck in the just before entering Sajaiya, which is the most I don't know, the worst neighborhood in Gaza, and they got 2 unarmored vehicles got stuck there, and then the missile was it was shot to them and killed everybody. And I think the days before they got in were the days in which they had to prepare better to this preparation, their commanders, but they weren't there to help them when they got stuck in this neighborhood. And what happened afterwards was very bad.
Tell me, did the IDF cover up this story? Did they not tell the families? Did they try in any way to prevent you from airing this story?
Since the day I told the IDF that I'm starting to investigate this story, I didn't get any cooperation with them. Nothing. No background interviews, no interviews to the camera. They just told me, you do whatever you want, and we're not part of it. And it seemed very strange. I'm used to make story about the IDF, and some of them are investigative story, in which I this idea, but in this story there was something different. I felt that the IDF is trying to, I don't know if to hide is the right word, but he doesn't want this story to be aired. He wants to I don't know if cover up is the right word, but they didn't want any involvement in it, and they sure didn't want this story to be published in the way it was published. But I don't know the real reason is, but there was for some reason they behave like this.
Even
I
though
think there's a story for it.
watching the story, I must say that I'm not sure it is truly a negative story about the IDF.
I agree. I
The
agree.
story of the soldiers is so powerful that it's almost overwhelming.
And it's what I think about this kind of stories. It can make the army better in the next war. If they study the mistakes of this war, they'll be better in the next war. And I think people want to hear this story of the soldiers, even the families. You know, sometimes we think we must defend the families from hearing all the stories about what happened to their sons in the war, but the families want to know, they want to understand, they want to learn every detail about the last moments of their sons before they died. I felt that the families are thirsty for the information, and I believe we gave it to them last time.
Tell me, are the families of the fallen soldiers, are they more angry with the IDF or more proud of their sons' behavior after watching your story?
I think it's 50-50. They're very proud of their sons. They're proud of the fact that their sons volunteered to get into this horror or this very hard war. But they're also, I think, they have questions to the IDF. I think they didn't have all the information until last week about in which conditions their sons went into this war. And once this story was aired last night, and there were like newspapers articles in last week that tried to do it faster than us, but after all this information is out, the families have more questions because they have more information, and now they come to the IDF with further questions about what really happened to their sons and in what conditions their sons got into this war.
As I mentioned earlier, there is a special interest in this story here in Los Angeles, where I'm now, because of one soldier, Max Steinberg, whose story and whose funeral as well was one of the most powerful moment of the Gaza war. What can you tell me specifically about his involvement in this battle?
First of all, it really is amazing because we remember here in Israel the funerals of Sean Carmeli and Max Steinberg, the two sons that came from the U.S. And I can tell about Max one thing. You know, one night before they got into the war, they had an accident. The two armored vehicles or unarmored vehicles had an accident in which one of the vehicles got into the other one, and many soldiers were injured. Many soldiers that were supposed to get into Gaza got injured in that accident, and Max Steinberg also got injured very badly in this accident. And although he got injured, he insisted that he is going to get into this war. He's going to fight. There's no way that his friends are going to go into Gaza, and he's going to stay out. And he insists that he gets into the M113, the vehicle, and he gets into Gaza, and he finds his death there. And I must say that one of the scenes that we filmed during this long journey of filming this story is that Max's sister, Paige, is making an aliyah. She makes an aliyah to Israel, and she comes to study in one of the universities here in Israel. It was very exciting to see. I was very excited to see her coming here, following her brother. You know, it's a family that didn't think they should make aliyah, that should come here, and after all, they find their destiny here in Israel, and his parents are just wonderful. And they're going to come, I think, in the Memorial Day to Israel, either the Memorial Day or the Memorial Day for the war in the summer.
Omri Assenheim, thank you so much for this story.
Well, thank you very much.